Today is going to be three of us. My part to start with the M&E strategy is more about from a business and operator standpoint. And I have to admit to start that when I started my own spirits, my own company, yes, I thought about a potential M&E strategy, but it was not the only strategy I had. So also it's very important to understand that you need to adapt to the momentum, we need to adapt to the markets, and you need to be able to shift your strategy if it's required. I give you an example. When we had the COVID, I'm sure a lot of businesses, they had to adapt to the situation and probably they had to make different decisions and to have to adapt to what it was the market back then. But let me see if this remove control works. Let's start from this one. I always like to start with the same slide, my presentation, mainly focus on the one on the left. When we're talking about M&E, and I have a lot of conversation about M&E, most of the people, they're just looking at the top of the iceberg there. Yes, of course, when you sign your deal or you have a partner, like you feel that actually you had a little bit of success in your business, but in order to get there, there is a tons of things that need to be done. And the most important one, which is not included there, it's also having some good luck. So first of all, an M&E investor, what they are looking for in your brand. So number one, they're looking for the brand position. Which one is your position? What you stand for? So the brand need to have a very distinguished brand position and very clear brand position, which also need to be communicated to consumer, to professional, and to distributors. Number two, strategic portfolio fit. I'll give you this example, guys. Please don't get me wrong. How many new gin we saw in the last 15 years? If you're going to look all the major spirits company, which actually they could potentially invest to acquire new gin, but if you're going to look at their portfolio, all of them, they already have at least one or two or even 3, 4 different gin brands in their portfolio. So if you're going to launch a new gin today, do you think in 5 or 10 years time, you're going to have a position in one of these spirits company? Not really. Okay, so also look forward in the next 5 to 7 years what it will be and what you will be with your business and with your brand. Then what is very, very important, and most of the times like this one is a really deal breaker, is best practice. You need to showcase at least 1, 2, or even 3 markets where you have some best practice. Did your drink strategy work out? Does the brand have the right rate of sales? Does he have any brand awareness? And you don't need to be present in 15 markets. It's understandable that a small startup business, like you just want to start to focus in 1 or 2 markets, showcase that he can grow the business in that markets, and then you can roll out somewhere else, potentially with a strategic or tactical partner. Number 4, business marginality. This one, it's key. Just to give you an idea, all the major spirits company, they're working with an average of 70% gross margin on the spirits. So in order to be appealing for them, you're probably not at 70%, you're not 65%, but you need to be in a position that with a little bit of work on your cost of goods, on your price position, you can get very close to this 70%. It can be 65, it can be 72, but this one is a number that, guys, I will recommend to keep in mind. Also, scalability and geographical expansion. Is the brand has a potential to be scaled up? Can we do some numbers? Can a strategic partner can do some volumes with that? And second, this brand, it will be easy to deliver and to expand all around the world. They're all questions that an M&E team will ask and will look into your brand or in your business case. Last but not least, as I mentioned earlier, COGS, cost of goods. If an M&E team, an investor is going to invest to acquire your brand, bringing in the house the whole operation, the whole production, will increase the marginality, will decrease your cost of goods? Question mark. Those are all questions that actually an M&E team, they're asking for, they're looking at. So now let's move on the left-hand side of the screen. As you can see, that one is like a little bit like a timeline of what has been the Brown-Forman portfolio. Is everybody familiar with the Brown-Forman? They have this wonderful brand which is called Jack Daniels. Everybody wants to have a Jack Daniels in their portfolio. But if you look at them, at the mid of 2000 of the 10s, so 2014-15, when we were in the middle of the gin boom, of the gin trend, they had a great brown spirits portfolio, but they were missing the gin. They were missing the white spirits. So what they did, the first thing they went to acquire for gin. For gin, it was launched in 2011 and one, a great friend of mine and one of the probably industry experts, Simon Ford. Great gin, which already proved some best practice in US, very well loved by bartenders, a gin made from bartenders to bartenders, available almost everywhere in New York, in Miami, in LA, and already have some small footprint here in Europe. So they had the best practice, they had the brand position. So now it was, what is the next stage? Let's take it all around the world. For gin, so they get a gin to target the on-premise, on-trade. But then what they did a few years later, they went and they acquired Gin Mare. Completely different animal. Still a gin, but already like, huge volume, large investment, but it's a consumer gin. Probably Gin Mare is one of the gin that has democratized the gin and tonic with all the fruits and garnish like in this wine glass at the beginning of 2010 and 11. So basically they fit in the portfolio. They had one on-trade gin and then an off-trade gin. Does it make sense? I think it's a clear example of how if you launch your own brand or if I'm a spirits company, how we look to have a strategic fit in the portfolio. Now, obviously, I want to share what is my learnings from my personal experience. I would say that in order to have a successful brand or to have a self-sustainable brand, there is many, many things that need to work out very well. It's not enough just to have a good liquid. It's not enough to have a nice packaging. It's not enough to have just a lots of money. It's a combination of things. And always remember that you need to have good luck also to deliver that. So I put a little cake here where you can see you need to planning accordingly. You need to have a leadership because it's a small team, so you need to do a lot of things to yourself. You need to look after the sales, the marketing, the legal, the financial, the operation, and then you need to be lucky to hire the right people, the right partners, which they're going to be an extension of you, at least at the beginning of the journey. Then, first one, planning, finance. This is very, very important to me. I see too many startups, too many business, which they have no clue about numbers, about P&L. This is key. This is crucial. You like it or you don't like it, you got to do it. Because if you don't get your numbers right from the beginning, you will pay the price later on. If you're not an expert on planning, on finance, then hire someone who can do it for you. I was very lucky that the person who was helping me with Italicus at the beginning of the journey is sitting here on the audience today. So thank you so much today for the work done many, many years ago, Brian. Second, legal. This one, I'm not going to touch too much on legal because we have some legal experts which they're going to tell you everything about legal. But this is very, very important. When people, they're asking me, what do you think has been the best decision you made with your business when you started? To hire a good finance person and a legal that I can trust. Because they are the two most important things. Every time you're going to open a new market, you're going to have a new contract distribution. So you need to have a legal expert to check that. Every time you have an issue, you need to have a legal to check that. Every time you need to pay an invoice, you need to do a production, you need to have a finance person who understands that. Last but not least, communication. You need to make sure that your brand is out there, that the right people, the right investor, the right company, they can see and they can hear you. So stage like this one offered by Park Street or any other bar show or podcast or article, you got to be out there. Otherwise, you can do the best work as you want. But if people, they don't see you, they don't know that you exist or you're available, they're not going to approach you. Thank you very much.